Hello everyone, and thanks for watching the instructional video for the final exam. I just wanted to let you know how to prepare for the exam and what the exam is going to be like. So I have here, I'm on the link page for the final exam. These are the instructions. Actually, that's the announcement which I copied onto the instructions. So let's just go so you can see how this is done. We have these links here at the on the side of the page. Just as always, final exam is first, and you'll come to the preliminary instructions for the final exam. The one thing you need to note here is the very last line. It's due on Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's going to be the 19th. It's going to be made available to you on the 13th, 2013. So it's after this week is week 10. Whenever this week it ends on Sunday, the final exam will be made available to you, and you can take it whenever you like between the 13th and the 19th. And you can even start the exam on the 13th. You can look at it, you can save your work, and come back to it whenever you like between the 13th and the 19th. So you have plenty of time to work on it, and I think that gives a chance for everybody to do very well. I'm just going to click on the exam here, and hopefully it isn't displaying itself exactly like I want, but that's Blackboard for us. Just some instructions for the exam. It has a 4-hour time limit. I expect that to be the longest time somebody would be working on it. I think most of you can finish this within 2 hours, but some people type slower than others, so I put a 4-hour time limit on there because if you're spending more than that on the exam, you're probably doing something wrong and you need to stop because you're just on the wrong track. So I mean, that kind of thing happens with me. If I'm researching a topic and I'm just researching and researching and researching, I need to stop and take account of where I am because chances are I'm doing the wrong thing. So anyway, there's a time limit, but you can save and come back at any time during the window that we have between the 13th and the 19th. The test will save and submit automatically when the time expires. So if you've worked on it for 4 hours, it's automatically going to turn in whatever you have, and you will not have the opportunity to come back after you've spent that amount of time on the exam. And of course, like I said, the test can be saved and resumed later, and then you click continue. And this final exam description, this final exam covers all material from week 5 to week 10. I have 1 or 2 questions that even touch on material that happens before week 5. I do, however, have, if you watch my mouse here, there are some questions from the timelines for the midterm. Those are also timelines for the final exam, and you need to know the content of the timelines. And the only thing I'm asking you basically on the timelines is, did thus and such happen after or before another event? Like, you need to know that Alexander the Great conquered the Greek world about 300 years before Jesus was born. You don't need to, that will affect how you read the New Testament. If you have a correct view or incorrect view of the ancient world. So that's going to be important, but there's not a whole lot of questions there. And this is an open book exam. We've already covered everything else. This is an open book exam, which means you're welcome to use whatever resources you have. You can use Metzger, you can use your lecture notes, which I highly recommend. You can go back and rewatch the lecture videos. You have the timeline videos and the timeline lectures that you can look at. You can also access anything online. You can Google this stuff, these questions, but there is going to be no tolerance for plagiarism. That is, everything on this exam needs to be in your own words. You can use whatever resources you have access to form your opinion and to form your own words. Sorry. Um, you can use whatever resources that you want to form your own opinions, but they have to be yours. And I'm very good. I'm an editor by trade, and I can spot plagiarism quite easily. So please, just put it in your own words. And with all aspects of the course, right here, your opinion matters. Um, I am much more concerned with your informed opinion than I am in a simple repetition of what you've read. So it doesn't impress me that you know facts. I believe that you've paid attention in this course and you've learned a lot and you know a lot of facts. What I'm interested in is what you think about those facts. So a lot of these questions are what educators call higher order thinking skills, where I try to get you to think about these facts, which is why I'm making these facts easily available to you, not so you can just copy and paste or just type down exactly what I said in my lecture, but I want you to think about this stuff and let me know what you think about the facts, so you have access to the facts, and I know them already. And what I'm interested in is what you think. So hopefully that's encouragement. Um, and again, this test lasts 4 hours. And one more thing I skipped over up at the top, the nature of the exam. It is a mixture of multiple guess, which is that A, B, C, D, guess one, fill in the blank, and essay questions. Now, this is important for you to know. Essay questions need at least 5 sentences that address the content of the course. Short answer questions need a minimum of 2 sentences. Now, I want to show you something about essay questions. Going back to the course here, to the lecture notes area. We go down to week 7. Okay. Sorry about this. I'm trying to make it visible, better available to you, and this thing is not cooperating. Okay, we're looking at week 7 lecture notes. And the way I created this exam was I looked at every week's lecture notes and I asked a question, usually from this, when it's an essay question, I ask it from right here, from the title. I say something like, what's the argument that scholars use that, that argue that Romans 16 is a separate letter to the Ephesians? And this is the points that should be addressed in your essay. Or I'll ask you, why is Romans considered one letter? Well, you have here Romans is one letter. You remember that from the lecture. The reason why Romans is one letter is because people in Romans moved from Ephesus to Rome after Claudius in 54 BC. Now, 54 CE. Now, if you just write that, I don't know what it means. But if you say Claudius expelled all the Jews from Rome in 54, so it's likely that Paul is addressing people who moved back to Rome. Whenever all the Jews moved back to Rome, Paul is then addressing people that he knew, because a lot of these people fled to Ephesus where Paul lived. I mean, I know that's really complex, but that's the world in which we live, unfortunately. But you don't have to write just that. You can make these other points too. And then, just for clarity's sake, I might ask you, what are some of the theological points made in Romans? And you can come here and look and see that you have lots of choices. You pick 2 or 3 of them and explain them. So that's the way most people do final exams, and I learned that very early in my college career. But anyway, this is what you need to know, and you're going to have these resources in hand whenever you see these questions. I advise you to study for this exam. Uh, Familiarize yourself with these lecture notes, because if you are not familiar with the content here, you need to re-watch the stuff in the videos and maybe even read up a little bit in Metzger so you can navigate through this material quickly. You know, there's a 4-hour time limit, and if you're not familiar with these lecture notes, you're going to be lost in the final exam. But that's exactly how I made it. I just sat down with these lecture notes and pulled my questions directly from there. And of course, some from Metzger, but these notes are from Metzger anyway, most of them at least. So I hope all of you do well on the exam, and if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know.